Hello Tenno, Chi here, and we're here to take a second look at the Railjack, just completed and released in the official Warframe EMPYREAN update. This is a beautiful update. I've already posted one video today on how the Railjack flies and such. Now we're going to take a look at upgrades to the Railjack. Now, this is a brand new system. They've told us it's going to be a full progression system, just like Focus, and you can see why here. Now, you're going to do everything from these two consoles. Nothing to worry about on all the others. You can tell because all the others are grayed out. Believe me, I checked. We'll start with on the left. Now here is our research. This works just like any other dojo item, though I believe it is specific to you. Now, we start with what you might call the Mark Zeros of everything we have access to, a bunch of weapons and all the such. We can equip any of them that we like. I haven't had a chance to try out any except for the default yet, but they all seem relatively equivalent. Then you can upgrade to a Mark 1, and I assume up to the Mark III based on what D has shown us in the dev streams. That's all there is to this one. Now, yeah, as you can see. If we go over here, however, we have far more. Now, we have three basic, what you might call the weapons and warframe meat of it. We have a shield array, engines, and reactor, each of which can be leveled up, I assume, to level 30, but I'm not entirely sure. That's all there is to this, and ideally, in the long run, we'll have upgrades to these, but I would understand if that's in the future. Going to the next tab, we have Armaments. Now you can see on the front of the ship, you can control these as the pilot. Then on the side of the ship, we have a second set of guns. And on the undermount, we have our heavy gun. Now, from what I've heard, the heavy gun requires actual resources every time you fire it, which is a phenomenal introduction. Yes, it's grindy. No, you do not have to use it. It's just there if you want to blow crap up in the most spectacular way possible. Now, I've played solo, and I can tell you that the primary guns are enough for the Earth mission, but you'll want to grab a crew for everything else. Going on to what you might call the meat of it, we have Avionics. Now, of course, you've got to have a capacity, just like Focus, and you have three sets of upgrades. Battle abilities, which operate like your Warframe abilities, tactical abilities, which you could think of as ultimates or 4 abilities, but focused more on your ship and less on what's around it, and integrated abilities. For instance, I have increased hull, increased damage, and increased armor, which is phenomenal. Interestingly, it says max armor. I had assumed that hull breaches will reduce your armor. Here we've got a full overview of our Railjack. So many stats, isn't that interesting? Now you can see that we got the Railjack itself, our pilot APOC, that's our primary weapon, that operates like a slow-firing heavy gun, or perhaps a mid-firing gun. It's about 4 rounds per second. Then on the side, we have the gunner's slot. Now you can notice that they're the exact same stats by both sides. I'm a little bit disappointed by that. I expected the gunner weapons to be slightly more powerful. Perhaps that'll change in the future. Of course, if we go to the grid, we require Direct to upgrade grid sockets. Now I'd assume that's these little slots here, these dots. It might be that you need more dots to get more upgrades. If we go to our Avionics, it appears that to upgrade these, we also need Direct. I'm guessing Direct is going to be the more rare of our currency, but at least it seems like we do not need very many, only 10 or so per level. Going to the next slot, we have our Payload. Now, this is all our equipment, our consumables that are used in our missions for big things. Munitions especially, for ordnance weapons. Now, you can tell right here, I've got 1400 carbides that were just ground passively by playing on Ceres. I've already found that Copernix and, well, especially Copernix rather, drop very quickly in stacks of 20, even without my resource booster, so there'll be no problem with anybody farming them in space. But it looks like pustules and the rest will be dropped from places other than Earth from my experience so far. That could be an issue, it may not, we'll have to wait and find out. Going further to Intrinsics, now this is pretty critical. To pilot and gun our ship, we require specific levels and things. Obviously, to do that, you're going to have to play some default missions to get a bit of basic experience first. I like this idea. I think it means that if you're going to be relying on a stranger Tenno, you can see their rank, ideally, in each of these, and make a decision on whether or not to crew with them based off of that. In addition, it's going to give you better abilities over time. Interestingly, they do include engineering here. My roommate, as it happens, is very much of a support player in every game. They're going to love helping everyone out, and I feel like that's a really nice inclusion from DE, just to give the teammate role. Finally, we have customization. Now, I'm going to be doing this sneakily because I don't want anyone online to see it just yet, but as you can see, some of the basics, wear and tear can be increased extreme. I am a bit of a fan of the polished look though, so I'll probably be doing none. Intriguingly, there are skins. Oh my. Oh. Oh my. DE, you didn't tell us about this. This is beautiful. This is... Look at those lines! Now, a big regret here is you cannot rotate around the ship while customizing the color scheme. That makes it a bit harder, but there's no worries about that. Seems like we can also put on decals on the side of the ship. That is beautiful. That's just beautiful. Like, who thought of this? Okay, there's so many too. Very, very cheap. That's great. But I appreciate DE. This seems to be their monetization for Empyrean on the first release. They haven't offered resources. They're offering beautiful customization options. I, for one, will be buying at least a few of these. Now, unfortunately, it seems like decals aren't translatable or expandable yet. I assume that will come with time, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, renaming, that's lovely. I assume that'll be referenced in character dialogue, especially by Corpus who don't actually use words. Now... looks like we've got plenty to choose from here. Oh, this is... You can see the zones of coloring here. It seems like they've done a really good job of avoiding very large areas of one color. It really breaks up the outline of the ship and makes it seem a lot sleeker than it is on the ground. DE, once again, thank you. You're an amazing company. This has been Astachi. This is the Railjack, Empyrean. I hope you've had a good time, and happy hunting, Tenno.